Full shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, just some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. Woo! I mean, like, we can put all that clown shit away. There's some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thugs in harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse with only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
Yes, welcome everybody back to GTV, and today we're talking about one of the most historical places in football, and that is, as you guys can see on the screen, La Masia. Now, as we know about La Masia, this has housed some of the greatest footballers to ever walk the planet Earth. Yes, we're talking about the Lionel Messis, the Andres Iniestas, the Xavis. You know, this has housed so many other various different names, the Pep Guardiolas, you know, who have also come through these doors. A fun fact actually about La Masia is that it used to actually be a farmhouse when it was originally built in 1702. It wasn't actually used by Barcelona Football Club until 1979, and then it was then refurbished again in 2011. Why am I telling you all this? It's not a history lesson. Guys, we're here obviously to talk about the academy players coming through at this current moment in time. Yes, the players like Lamine Yamal, Fermin Lopez, Kubasi, and various other players who are coming through the Barcelona academy, especially since, you know, Barcelona kind of a little bit lost their way, and of course we'll talk about that in the video. And you know, it's hard, you know, hard footsteps, you know, to kind of follow in regards to Barcelona and their academy, especially because, you know, the previous old dogs, you know, the Messis and the Iniestas and the Xavis and etc., they were so good during an era where, you know, they absolutely dominated world of football. Now, of course, you try following on from that, it's always going to be difficult. So, you know, Barcelona had been a little bit in the wilderness, I would say, a little bit in the wilderness, but it looks like they have been reborn. Now, of course, the list of names, as we already know, I mentioned before, Andres Iniesta, Messi, Xavi, you got Busquets, Carlos Puyol, Gerard Piqué, Victor Valdez, Jordi Alba, you know, as I mentioned before, Pep Guardiola, of course, coming through there, Sergi Roberto, Pedro. You know, there's been so many players, you know, Bojan. Heck, we even forget about Cesc Fabregas because of his time, of course, you know, in England playing for both Arsenal and Chelsea. But, you know, so many players, you know, have come through. And this is just really and truly the notable, you know, inductees of these kind of, you know, the notable alumni of the La Masia, you know, academy. But there's been so many other, you know, various different players who have obviously come through, you know, the system. And, you know, at this current moment in time, there does seem to be, you know, a lot more players coming through, but also as well, managers are giving them a lot more chances. And I think that the place that Barcelona is in right now, the kind of space that they're in, of course, you know, this season doing really, really well. A lot of young players that Hansi Flick has decided to use this season. But if you look, you know, in the last couple of seasons, even when Xavi, you know, was the manager there, you know, a lot of players were coming through in terms of through the academy, you know, the Ansu Fatis of this world. You know, of course, he had his horrific injury. You know, we've had Gavi, you know, playing alongside Pedri, even though he technically didn't come from the academy. But, you know, Fermin Lopez, Paul Kubasi, you know, last season, you know, so many different names. And then, of course, the crown jewel, you know, at this current moment in time is, you know, Lamine Yamal. You know, he's, that's what we call a top talent. I think that's safe to say. That's what we call a top talent. That's what we call, you know, someone who has the world at his feet. If you want to call him a generational player, you can. I think what he's done in this short space of time since making his debut for Barcelona, I think that kind of warrants being called a generational player. You know, and since then, you know, he is starting to, you know, kind of fulfill, you know, those kind of claims at this moment in time, you know, especially during the summer. winning, you know, the Euros with Spain, you know, playing such a vital part as well for Spain during that tournament. And I think, you know, for those who, of course, you know, watch 𝐵𝐸𝐻 𝐻𝐻, you know, consistently, you kind of already knew that, yeah, he's a very, very good player. You just probably didn't understand the fact that, you know, he was so good. You know, he was so good. And of course, he was also part of the Barcelona team, you know, that won La Liga back in the 22-23 season. You know, obviously him making, you know, his debut, you know, during that season. But listen, look, of course, you know, we can sit here and talk about the highs, but, you know, as I mentioned before, you know, Barcelona were going through a period, and we have to remember that probably one of the main factors, I don't want to say the only reason, because it is within their culture, it is within their DNA, is that, you know, they were going through some, you know, financial problems, some financial issues, you know, especially when Lionel Messi left, and then, you know, you still had the Gerard Piqués, the Sergio Busquets, you know, still there at the football club, and everything that was going on surrounding that in terms of the financial aspect. You know, they were going through a time where, you know, they had bought players like Griezmann's, they bought players like Philippe Coutinho's, Ousmane Dembele's, you know, these kind of players who had effectively flopped at the football club. So, you know, it just kind of felt like they were moving away from their culture, their own DNA, you know, something that they had kind of put, you know, in place, something that they had set in stone, something that everybody knew that they were famous for, which is their academy, you know, bringing through academy players. They had gone down the kind of route of, you know, a Real Madrid, you know, and which, by the way, works for Real Madrid in terms of, you know, that kind of Galacticos, you know, those kind of players. And they were almost trying to find their own version of that. But unfortunately, you know, for me, it just never ever worked. And, you know, you guys can see, you know, previously, you know, some of the players that they did, you know, try and sign, it just was never going to work for Barcelona, because that's just not how Barcelona, you know, in terms of the Barcelona we all kind of remember, and I'm talking throughout time, that's not what they're really about. But it does seem that Barcelona are getting back to that, you know, bringing players through La Masia, you know, bringing players through that academy, nurturing those players. And of course, not every single player is going to make it at Barcelona. Some players, you know, will have to go, you know, out on loan. Some players will have to leave the football club to be able to forge their careers. If we look at players such as, you know, Xavi Simons, you know, he's a prime example of that. But ultimately, you know, I think Barcelona, after stepping away from their kind of essence, their DNA, their culture, they're now bringing it back. And under Hansi Flick, it does look like, you know, they've got the right man in charge in order to take them in to this kind of new age, new phase. You know, the Pep Guardiola era is now done and dusted. They've had quite a few managers since then. So now it's about entering into this kind of new era of football. And I do believe that you can still have some of the old values implemented within, you know, this new age. And I think that Barcelona just need to get back to that, which it looks like they are doing. And then we will see Barcelona back where they belong, which is at the top of the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If so, make sure you do hit that like button, share it, and subscribe to the channel. We will have many more of these type of videos, so make sure you stay tuned, stay locked in, stay blessed. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Peace.